excited. I'm sorry it didn't work out with the video. It's just technology doesn't like me very much today.
No, that's quite all right.
So I do have a few questions that I've compiled. I've tried for them to be different than what you've already responded to in your own Q&As, so that people that listen to it have something new. So I just decided to start at the beginning. And where was it that you decided you wanted to become an author? When did you just know that's what you wanted to do?
Okay, good question. It was actually at the very end of writing Raelia. So Raelia is the second book in the series. Up until then, I wrote a Q&A purely for me. I wanted to write the book I wanted to read, and so I never had any intention of anyone ever reading it except for me. And so once it was done, I just thought, okay, great, that's done. But I needed to know what would happen next, and so I went and wrote the second book, and I wrote the final line in Raelia, and I sort of shut down my laptop, and I remember sitting there in the dark, and I just burst out crying because I was so terrified, because it was that moment that I realised I wanted to share these stories with the world, and I had no idea how to do that. But I was just determined to do whatever it took to make it happen. And so that was probably the moment when I realised that I really wanted to try and at least try and make it happen.
Well, it's good so far.
Thank you.
So inside Raelia, if you count Raelia and Freya and Maya, which one of those is your favorite place to write? Which one of those is your favorite place to just get inside of?
Okay, I'm going to say it's really hard because I've now written 4 of the 5 books, and in the third book, there is a lot of time spent in Maya in the third book. A lot of time. There's a lot of world building, and you get to know this beautiful, wonderful city, and you experience it from Alex's eyes, and I just loved that. But then in the 4th book, the entire world of Medora opens up, and you go all over the world of the actual fantasy world, and I loved that as well. So I don't know. I would have to choose, at any different point in time, depending on where my head is at and where my characters are at. That's pretty much where I'm happy being. So I just love what I'm learning about this world and everything in it as I write it. So it's a tricky question. I don't know.
Sorry. So I have a third question, but since it releases tomorrow on April 1st for the American side, at least on Kindle, I'm going to leave that one at the end for those of us who have written it and, well, who have read it. So not to spoil anything for everybody else.
Okay.
So what inspired you to write a living library? That's one of my favorite parts in the whole book.
Honestly, I'm such a book freak. I love books. I love reading, and so the idea of just something different, a sentient building, let alone a library, and obviously with Alex's ability to sort of step through doorways and go to other places, I needed it to be just something that was almost like a guide, and what better guide than a library that's filled with knowledge. And so I don't know, honestly, I don't remember the thought process that went into this library. It just sort of wrote itself into being, and it was almost what the story was built up around, and which is really weird because it's a character in and of itself, and I have no idea how that happened. But I love the library. I love the 4th book in particular. Has a lot of library time, and it's really hard getting there because I love this character, but there's only little hints in the 1st book and in the 2nd book and in the 3rd book, and then suddenly in the 4th book the library explodes, and you're like, I just want to be in this place. And I have no idea what will happen with the 5th book, but I want a sentient library in my life.
Right. I think everybody that loves books just loves a library, but when you put it into the context that it doesn't only get you into a book into a place that you actually have doorways to go explore and live it, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah. I want one.
Right? So when I first read Author at the beginning, I thought it was sort of like a mix between Harry Potter, Narnia, and a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. And if you have to choose any of those, which one will be your favorite?
I'm going to have to go with Harry Potter, but only because it was such a essential part of my, my teenage life and early adulthood, and just, the magical world that J.K. Rowling created just really inspired me to, expand my own creativity. So, I love all those, I love Narnia, I love X-Men, I love Alice in Wonderland, I love all those elements, and that's why I think my book is such a mix of them. But my heart will always be true to Harry Potter.
Right, yes, I'm right there with you.
Yes.
So if you could go to that magnificent library and open a door that will lead you to a place that you just want to be in any fantasy world, where would it be?
Oh, I can't tell you without giving spoilers away. There are some really, really cool places that Alex goes to in the third and fourth books, and I just tried to extend those scenes because I didn't want her to leave them, because I didn't want to leave them. But there is some place that she's going in the fifth book that may well be my answer, but I haven't quite created it yet, so I don't know if it's going to be like a Pan Am and I don't want to be there, or it could be like a Narnia and I don't want to leave. So, yeah, honestly, I reckon if I had a library and could go through any doorway to another world, I'd go anywhere. Like, I would just be excited to go on the trip.
Right. And what is a scene or a chapter that you've written of the books that are out that you enjoy the most to write? It just flowed.
Okay, I love scenes that really flow for me are like the action scenes. So like the combat or the really high stakes adventure, or someone's in danger, because I'm just madly typing to try and get them out of it. But I also really love the banter between Alex and her friends. I love writing dialogue, and I love when they're just having a bit of fun together, because so much of these books is just mess after mess after nightmare after nightmare for Alex. And so when she can have a bit of downtime with Bear and Jordan and DC and just sort of have that teenage moment of fun and friendship and just chill a bit, I think those are really sweet scenes, and they come very naturally as well. But so it's easy to get them, because Bear and Jordan are hilarious. They just have this. They're those fun people you want in your life, and Alex is just like, dude, what? And so she still does. And then you got DC, who's just like this DC, whatever she is, and so the dynamic between them I love. And there's a couple of characters who come into the second book, and I loved writing them and their scenes, especially as they bounce off Alex as well. That was really, really awesome. So yeah, definitely the high action combat-y sort of scenes are great, and the bantery dialogue parts.
Those are I love all those books. I've read them, I think, in 3.5 days, sort of something like that.
Oh, you're amazing. That's crazy. You must have just stopped to eat and sleep.
No, I'm just one of those people that if I find a book that completely gets my attention, I can't. Like, I have to, take care of the baby and the husband and the stuff like that. But once they're asleep, I'm just reading.
Yeah. I'm the same. You sort of have to stay in the world until it's over.
Yeah, it's just, it takes something away from the experience if you stop, I think.
Definitely.
Because then you have to re-immerse yourself in the same place, and it takes you a little bit. It's just beggars. Go.
I completely agree. I've never been, how there are those people who can read multiple books all at once, and I'm like, I can't read a couple of books at once. I read one book that I'm loving, and then I move on to another book that I'm loving. So, Yeah.
I can do that. That's not a problem. But there are books and books that you can do that with. Like there's books that have so much content into them. Like for instance, the Outlander books that I feel like I have to pace myself or I have to read it and reread it because I miss some things trying to get to what's driving the story at the moment. But some other ones are just want to like, no. Yes, I'll get yes.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. And I love those books. I totally agree with you.
And do you have a role model or an inspiration? And if you can you pick a favorite author?
Not really. And that's just because I've read so many wonderful books, and I know, in the last year in particular, I've met a lot of authors, and that's been a pure joy because I've just been around, these people inspire me. And, that's been incredible. As for, I think because I never intended to be an author, and so I never had that moment where I thought, I want to be like her, or I want to be like him, or I want to do what they do when it came to an author. So I never really had that person. I mean, J.K. Rowling is obviously, as I said before, Harry Potter's been very inspiring. So if I had to pick someone, I'd probably say her. But at the same time, not really. There's never been anyone that specifically resonated with me. You're the reason I decided to be a writer. It was more my characters that made me decide that. So, yeah, who knows?
Have a mind of their own, don't they?
I beg your pardon?
They have a mind of their own.
Oh, they do have a mind of their own, yes. Yes, frustratingly so.
Do you have a bucket list? And if you do, what's one item on it?
Wow. I think I'm that person who is always like, I should add that to my bucket list. But it's always a metaphorical bucket list. Like, I don't actually have a bucket list. I would really like to go to Orlando, Florida, so that I can go to both Harry Potter World and Disney World in the one trip, because they're like opposite each other.
They're amazing.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
I so want to go. So I say, they're on my bucket list, or if I had a bucket list. Otherwise, no. I don't know. I guess they're probably the only thing I can think of that's actually, I want to do that in my life. So, I'm sure there's a million other things, but that's the only thing that's coming to mind. I'm not I don't have skydiving or, scuba diving or anything on a bucket list. I'll do it if it happens, but I won't, be devastated if it doesn't happen.
That's a really good one. Those two are amazing.
Oh, good.
And has it been a dream come true to just be published and be able to share the story with so many people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was terrifying at first. As I said, I never intended anyone to ever read a Q&A, and then suddenly all these people are reading it, and it was like they were reading my journal or my diary, and it really, really weirded me out. Especially when people I knew, like my friends or family, read it, because they'd be like, "Oh, it's like I can hear you in my head," and I was like, "Oh, that's disturbing." But especially now that because in Australia, Aurelia came out a couple of days ago, or a week ago now, last Wednesday, and now all these people are coming forward who've read the first book and loved it so much that they want the second book, and that's just a beautiful thing for me to sort of realize people are connecting with this story and with these characters, and it really truly is a dream come true to know that that on some level people are being inspired by this story, or they're just loving escaping to this world. So it's very surreal and very wonderful.
That's great. And it also means that you get to write more books, so yay.
Yes, that's always good.
So any advice that you would give to any aspiring authors?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much advice out there, but I would say if it's something you're passionate about, and if it's something that you love to do, and not just love to do, but something that you need to do, then just stick with it, because it's really hard to get published. It's really, really difficult to get traditionally published. And there's a lot of rejection, and there's a lot of being knocked back, and there's a lot of being told that you're not good enough. Not so much in so many words, because, you know, people are nice, generally speaking, and they won't say you're not good enough. But every time you get a rejection, you kind of feel like you're not good enough. And you kind of have to see it as a stepping stone, I guess, and see it as one step closer to your dream, because every no is just, I mean, all you need is one yes for it to all happen. And that's what happened with me. I tried getting a Q&A published for years before I got an offer of publishing. And so, you know, I know exactly what it's like to get all those rejections and to sort of wonder, you know, do I keep doing this? What's the reason? What's the point? But I knew I had to do it, and I knew I couldn't not do it, and I knew I would continue doing it until there was nothing left to do. And so I guess my advice would be to just keep dreaming and to keep pressing on and to just have a bit of hope that something will come of it.
Great advice. So I've seen on your Q&As in your own page that you have at least one more series that you're working at the moment. And I'm wondering, will we be able to get our hands on it soon? And will it be something that we can escape to when the next books of Author are about to come out, sort of like an in-between?
I don't know. I have actually, it's two different series that I've got both. I've got a first book written of two different series on top of the Akane series. And so one of them I'm currently working with my agent in New York for. So she's looking after that one, and we're looking into all of that with her. And the other one is with my Akane publishers. And depending on the publishing schedule, just not sure yet whether that will come out around like in the middle of the Akane series, or whether it will get the Akane series out first and then work on that other series. And it just depends on if we move, you know, like as I said, the third and fourth Akane books are done and there's only one to go. And because of that, you know, rather than yearly releases, we could hypothetically bring that up to 6 monthly releases with those series. But it all depends on publishing schedules and editing times. So we're all in what dates mode at the moment to try and figure everything out. So hopefully I'll have more news soon, but just at the moment we're not quite sure of anything locked in.
I didn't have this question in, but do you ever sleep?
Oh, no. I really, truly don't. I'm a big fan of, like, the nana nap. So, like, I'll get to the afternoon because I'll just get such little sleep at night. And that's because I'm, you know, my favourite writing time is between, like, 11 o'clock at night and 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when the rest of the world is asleep. And that's because, you know, I don't have to answer the emails. There's nothing happening on social media. Everything is just, like quiet. And so I can just write and write and write. But then I don't sleep much because then I'm up again early and then the whole day starts. So then I, like, nap in the afternoon, which sounds so lame. But it's, like, the only thing that keeps me, like, going. So, you know, I survive. I do okay. And once I finish, like, it's because I write books in such a short amount of time. And so then I always give myself a break to sort of just recharge and re-energize and, you know, regain some humanity and see my friends and stuff and remind people that I exist. So, yeah, it balances out.
So when you do that, when you take those breaks, what do you usually like doing? Do you read? Do you go out? Do you just want to lay down and close your eyes and not see anything?
Yeah, all of the above. I read, which sounds really weird, but I love, you know, when I'm in heavy writing or editing mode, I just am so in my own books that I don't get a chance to read other people's books. So I catch up on reading. I catch up with my friend, live on the Sunshine Coast, and we have beautiful beaches here. So I go out to the beach. I also catch up on TV shows. I'm a big, like, TV show fan, but I never get a chance to watch TV shows when I'm in writing mode because I just can't justify, you know, watching TV shows. And so like, once I finished writing the fourth book in the Madoran series, I remember it was like the next weekend or something like that, and I was given Shannara, the TV show, and I thought, okay, I'll watch one episode because I'm doing an event in a couple of weeks and I have to speak about Shannara and I don't know what it's about and I don't have time to read the book, but I'll watch one episode of the show and see how I go. And I just sat down and I watched the entire season in one sitting. Like, it was 10 episodes, but just front to back, I just devoured the show. And all I could think was, I'm really glad I'm not writing a book at the moment because that just took an entire day of my life, you know. So I do that. I try to get out and about and just sort of see the world again, because I know that inevitably I'm going to be returning to a hermit hole of writing. So I take a couple of weeks and just sort of my agent tells me to do beach yoga, but I'm really uncoordinated, so I just sort of I go to the beach and act like I'm doing yoga. Yeah, exactly. And I watch other people doing yoga and just act like I'm not like a giraffe on roller skates, which I am. So yeah, but I just do. I try to be normal, I guess, in that time, and then jump back into the writing craziness.
Nah, normal's overrated.
It so is. I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so like I said, from Amazon, tomorrow is the actual day that you can get Raelia on Kindle, at least in the US Amazon side. And do you have any upcoming events in and outside of Australia where you can meet your fans and talk to them and they can get their books signed?
Yeah, I have a stack coming up in Australia. Nothing outside of Australia yet, but within Australia over the next couple of weeks, I'm travelling all interstate. Starting next week, I'm heading to Brisbane, which is in Queensland. Then I'm heading to the Gold Coast, which is also in Queensland. Then I'm heading to Victoria, which is I'm going to Melbourne, and I'm doing something in St Kilda and Bendigo as well. And then I'm coming back. And then the next month, I've just announced today that I'm going to the Sydney Writers Festival. I'm doing a panel there, which is great. And so that's in New South Wales in Sydney. And then after that, I'm back in New South Wales for a Bellingen Writers Festival in Coffs Harbour, near Coffs Harbour. So lots and lots coming up interstate over the next 2 months, and I only know up until June as of everything now. So nothing international yet, but you never know what the future will bring. Mm-hmm. I know. Fingers crossed one day.
Yeah. We should get a little bit too.
Yeah.
Do you have a website where people can go and see those upcoming events that you update or somebody updates for you?
Yep, absolutely. My website is www.LynetteNoni.com, and all the tabs up the top there's no blog, there's reviews, but there's one that says news and events, and the news and events one has I updated it today, so it's got anything that I'm allowed to announce is currently on there. I think there's a couple of things that I haven't put on there just because I'm not allowed to announce them yet, but the rest are up there. And
I think I've asked you this before, but do your books on Pantera Press, which is the publisher of the books, has the ability to get them signed for those people who can't go to Australia right now, but they still want your book signed?
Yeah, a couple of times my publishers have organised it. So if someone wanted a signed book, they just have to contact my publishers, and that's panterapress.com. Oh, well, it's Pantera Press, but their website is panterapress.com. And what they've done in the past is they've sent me a book. I've signed the book and personalised it to whoever or whatever, if they want it personalised, or if they just want a general signature. It's up to whoever the person is what they want. I'll sign it. I send it back to my publishers, and then they send it on to whoever it is, wherever they are. So it's easy enough. It just comes to me, it does a circle, and then it goes off to the world.
And do you know if there's ever going to be a hardcover edition of the Medoran Chronicles?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's the kind of thing that's really up to my publishers and the distributors and everything like that. I hope so, because that'd be so pretty, and because I love the covers of these books. I mean, these books are so beautiful, the covers. And
I love the colors.
In paperback form. Pardon?
I love the colors.
Yeah, they're just stunning. So, I can't wait for where I think the designers are currently mocking up covers of the third book, and I can't wait to see it. But yeah, as for a hardcover, I don't know, but I love the idea of it, so maybe one day.
That's great. I can't wait to get my hands on them.
Me too.
That's all I have. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. Yeah, no. No. Nothing that's coming to mind anyway. Good questions. You've covered a lot, so.
Thank you. Trying to rake my brain not to ask you the same questions that you've been answering and other questions, but there's no way I can go to the events and see what you get asked over and over and over again.
No, it's funny. Like, it's often, as you said, I do get asked the same thing a few times, but it's almost like every time I get asked it, I answer it differently anyway. So,
change it up for you.
Yeah, exactly. I shake it up. I'm like, whatever. But then I get the curveball questions, and I'm like, ooh, that's one I haven't heard before. I don't know how to answer that. So it's always interesting. I love these kind of things because I never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
And for the spoiler question for everybody that has read Aurelia, and I love the amazing girl characters. They're all super strong and witty, and they don't think before they talk, which is great, especially because just like that, you don't know what's going to come out of their mouth. So they're always surprising you. But if you had to choose between Roka, Zane, and Bear, who would be your favorite and why?
You broke up a little bit. All I heard was if I had to choose between Roka and Zane.
And Bear.
And then I lost you. Roka, Zane, and Bear.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's really interesting that you picked those three. So Roka, Zane, Bear. Okay, I'm going to go with Roka. And I'm going to go with Roka because... Oh, no, maybe Bear. Oh, but I love Zane. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go book by book. I would pick Zane in Aurelia. I would pick Roka in Dracora, which is the third book, and I would pick Bear in the fourth book.
Still not named?
Maybe.